Hello, everyone. Um, Good afternoon, good evening. I can see there are a couple of people here. We're just going to wait for more people to join in. But good afternoon, and thank you for joining the Catalyst today. We're very excited to have you. Abdul Jabbar, Blessing, Mary, Nelly, Steve, thank you so much for joining. Please just introduce yourself in the chat box and tell us your name. Introduce yourself, tell us your name, where you're dialing from, and what you hope to learn in this session. Yeah, so I see more people are joining. Yes. Okay, so I'll just introduce myself and the team, and then hopefully by then more people would be here. Okay, so officially, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Tobilola Ajibola. I'm the community manager at the Creative Economy Practice at CcHUB, and I'm super excited to have you at our virtual catalyst. So the topic for today is building a strong community around your brand. And I'm super excited to have you here. I'm not alone. I'm with my colleague here. We're all looking at you, and I'm going to introduce them to you. So, first on my list is Omolade Zainab. Omolade, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, hello everyone. My name is Omradi Zainab, Senior Project Associate at CP. Excited to meet you all. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Omolade. Next up is Newton. Newton is our communication associate. So, Newton, please introduce yourself. Say hi to everyone.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening. My name is Newton Mutuku, Communications Associate at the Creative Economy. Thank you so much for joining us, and I'm really, really looking forward to the discussion today. Thank you.
Thank you. We also have Teniola Tijani. Please introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, good afternoon. My name is Tobilola Tijani. I work with the Creative Economy Practice as the Project Associate. I'm looking forward to a wonderful session. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Teniola. And like I said, my name is Tobilola Ajibola. Okay, so now that you've been introduced to the team, let's just move on. I need to let you know that we're streaming this session live on YouTube. So if you're just joining in and your internet is a little bit unstable, just click on the YouTube link. It's in the chat box, and just have it handy so that you can, you have an option of watching on YouTube. So let me see if that link is in. Yes, it's in the chat box. Let me also, put it in again. So just in case your internet is shaky, just click on this and you can watch us from YouTube. Okay, so let's move to introductions. I see that there are a couple of people here, and so while we wait for more people to join in, I want to introduce some of our guests here. So if you are just joining in, please use this format to introduce yourself in the chat box. So tell us your name, what you do, where you're dialing from, and what you want to learn in this session. Okay, so I see that some people have introduced themselves. So Blessing is here. Blessing is joining from Cameroon, and she's an actress. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Blessing, for joining. So please just use the chat box and introduce yourself. Lauren is asking, will it be available after the session? Oh, yes. So if it's streaming on it's a live stream on YouTube, so it will be available after and you can rewatch. But please just stick around. We have a very engaging conversation that we want to start. So if you're on the call, please just introduce yourself. Tell us your name, where you're dialing from, and what you want to learn in this session. Okay, so let me just continue our introductions. The team, we've introduced ourselves. I have introduced myself. I said my name is Tobilola Ajibola. I'm the community manager at the Creative Economy Practice. I would like to introduce the speakers. We have two speakers, but before I do that, I want you to know that yes, we are live, but I want the audience to spread this conversation online. So we have hashtags, and I want you to copy the hashtags. I'm just going to paste it in the chat box. So use the hashtags and share the conversation. Go on your Twitter, go on Instagram stories, and just share this tag and let more people join. Yeah, let more people join in. So that's the hashtag. Please share the conversations. Now, I would like to just take a tour of the webinar. It's actually a webinar, and I realized that there are a couple of buttons that I just need you to get used to. So yes, the chat box, tell us, introduce yourself, but for your questions, please just use the question and answer box, right? So for your questions, use the question and answer button. And for your comments, your introductions, whatever you want to say, use the chat box. Okay, so let me just take one more introduction. I have Steve. Steve is from Nairobi and he's hoping to get great insights on how to brand himself as a consultant. Fantastic. Thank you for joining, Steve. Okay, so let me just introduce our speakers. I have two speakers, and I'm super excited to have them here. So our very first speaker is Haneefah Abdurrahman Lekki. So this is what I would read Haneefah's bio. And, after I read her bio, please give her a round of applause. I know your videos or your camera is not on, and your audio is also not on, but you can use the clapping emojis to clap for her and, just share whatever emojis you want to share. So I would read her bio and then please just clap for Haneefah. So Haneefah is an award-winning community manager who loves meeting people and she loves to solve problems. She currently works at Andela as a talent success manager, where she manages experiences of technologists in Fortune 500 companies worldwide. In her previous role as the programs and community manager at Ingressive for Good, a tech non-profit on a mission to train 1 million African youths and place 5,000 in jobs, Haneefah managed the tech programs, scholarships, networks, and student community. She also won the Community Manager of the Year award at CMX and is building a community for community managers in Africa. So that means that she's the founder of Community Managers Africa, a community. It's worth noting that she mentors people across various aspects of life. So a round of applause for our panelist, Haneefah Abdurrahman Lekki. Welcome, Haneefah.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so before I introduce the second speaker, I'm going to start recording. This is, please do permit us to record because we will need to have this recording live. So I will be recording right now. Okay. Fantastic. Okay, so our second speaker is Nyokabi Macharia, and she's an award-winning actor, director, and producer based in Nairobi, Kenya. She trained at the Royal Central School of Speech and Drama, pursuing her MA in music theater. She's drawn to roles that are physically and vocally demanding. She has performed at the Kenya National Theatre, New Victory Theatre in New York, Club Silly and Theatre 503 in London, and the National Theatre in Ghana. When she's not on stage or on screen, Nyokabi enjoys hosting both corporate and entertainment events. Her humor and charming personality creates a warm environment where audience members feel comfortable enough to engage. The command in her voice calls a room to attention, and her experience as an actor has raised her emotional intelligence, thus enhancing her ability to read audiences and respond accordingly. A round of applause for Nyokabi Macharia.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Toby.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us today. So I see a couple of messages on the chat box. So let me just see. Okay. Okay, so now I think we could just get started with the conversation. So please note, so one more thing, we're just going to do a survey at the end of the event. So please just stick around for that. I'm just going to start by, yeah. So we have a couple of questions that I have to ask our speakers because the theme or the topic for this conversation is building a strong community around your brand. And we know that whether you're professional or you're an entrepreneur, we are seeing a lot of professionals, who are looking to build a strong brand, online. And also for creatives, we're seeing very, very successful brands, businesses, have strong communities on social media. Some of them have them on their mailing lists, and we see how important it is for you to have a loyal fan base. So that's why we're having this conversation today. So this is helpful for you as a professional, and this is also helpful for you as a business owner. So I have a couple of questions that I need to ask our panelists, and this is how this session is going to go. So I would ask a question to both the panelists, and they have 2 minutes to answer, 3 minutes, yeah? So 2 to 3 minutes to share their insights on the question, right? So I have introduced them, and now you know where they are and where they're from. So just listen in as, they share their insights. So the very first question is to Haneefah. So we know how everyone is now online. There's, if you're building a brand, there's a lot of competition out there. So why should more African creatives consider building a community around their brand? How does brand community bring in profit? So Haneefah, what's your take on that?
Okay. Yeah. So thank you so much for that question. So answer this within 2 to 3 minutes. So I want everyone to kind of picture this, right? Imagine you have a brand, a physical product or a service, whatever it is, and there's just like a very large and interested and engaging audience that's interacting with what you're offering. Now, this doesn't just come from those that have paid money or given something in exchange for those services or products. These are people that are genuinely interested in what you're doing. They're looking forward to your next launch. They're asking questions. They're overall just really loyal. Now, that is why you should build communities around your brand, right? That is the main difference. There's a different level of authenticity and loyalty that comes with having a brand, having a community around your brand, both as a consultant, just like somebody mentioned in the chat box, or even as a product or a service. So again, everyone is online. Building a community is not easy, but then it's possible, right? Like almost every brand out there should have a community, because there's a difference. Again, there's a major difference between I buy your product, I pay money for it, to, oh, I am interested in you as a brand. I am interested in your growth. I'm interested in your next service. And so that's kind of like the major, thing that I'll kind of mention, at least to start with, within 2 to 3 minutes to answer this question. But how brands would benefit from this is obviously, increased sales, reduction in cost of acquisition, instead of spending so much of amounts in ads. A lot of markets like move over marketing. We're moving over Facebook ads, Instagram ads. Again, you're still doing ads, but because you have a community around your brand, you're not spending as much, to be able to acquire more customers. So I think like that's like major thing that I'm going to mention for that.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Haneefah. Nyokabi, what do you think about that? How does building a community bring in profits, and why should brands build a community around themselves?
I think building a community gives you sustainability. I'll give you an example. I don't know, I think we have a couple of Kenyans in the room, and we have a content creator called Abel Mutua. And Abel Mutua is one of, he was like a veteran actor in the country at the time. But when COVID hit, obviously everyone was locked down, and he started a YouTube channel. And he just used his phone, and he was recording in the forest. He literally just had a stool, and he was just in the forest telling people stories. And it was just like any other Instagram story. And then he started doing it weekly. Yeah, Newton is saying Mkurugenzi, they call him Mkurugenzi in the country. And he started doing it weekly, and then it turned into a YouTube channel. And then now he's doing live shows. And then now he's been to Australia. And then now, like, that type of thing. And so the thing with Wakurugenzi, as they call themselves, that's the name that they've even given themselves, is that this is our person, and Abel sort of refers to them as, this is our community. And it's not really about sales. It's about, I want to tell you stories, you want to hear stories. And so you're not really selling a product. I saw someone say you're selling an emotion. You're not selling a product. You're selling trust. You want people to believe in whatever it is that you're saying. Another example that I'll give, we have a theater company called Too Early for Birds. And these guys started their company it was just two guys in the advert world. And they had this idea of telling stories about historical figures in the country. And at the time, no one was doing that in the country. And so they called their friends, and they were like, yo, do you guys want to come for a show? Please come for a show. And then their friends would tell other people. And so it was word by word. And just this past month, I think it has been the biggest theater show in the country for like probably the past 10 years, because they filled an 800-seater auditorium and they sold out 5 shows. No one in this country has been able to achieve that. And theater is not even it's starting to become a big thing, but before it wasn't that much of a big thing. And so again, sustainability, so that it's not about you can sell out a show this time, but if you don't have a community, it's not guaranteed that for the next show and the other show, you're going to sell it. So I'd say the simple answer to that is just being sustainable, creating a sustainable business model. Yeah.
I really like that point, sustainability. And that takes me to the next question. For you, Nyokabi, what inspired you to start your community? And that's Shots for Africa. I know it's more of an organization, but it's a community of actors and actresses in the film industry. So what made you start that community, and how did you initially start it and engage with them?
Yeah. So at the time I was in the UK, and then there's this American company called Balcony Arts who were doing shows. Again, it was during COVID. They were doing shows on Instagram, and I happened to participate in one of their shows, and I just thought, this is so fascinating. Musicians are always singing online. They're always doing stuff on Instagram. But as actors, it was never heard of that you're going to do a show on Instagram. And we thought, wait, what? But then when we did it, I was like, wait, so that means I don't have to wait to go back home in order to create. And I remember at the Zoom wrap party for one of for the show that I was involved in, my now business partner, Nice Githinji, mentioned, you guys, there's a classic book in Kenya called My Life in Crime by John Kiriamiti, about one of the biggest thugs in Nairobi around the 70s. And she mentioned that the chapters are sort of short films. And I thought that was the most brilliant idea ever. And I said, oh my God, I love that idea. I'd love to do it. And because I felt like, you're in COVID, there's nothing you're doing. I was like, short film is so far-fetched. So I was like, how about we use this format that we've been taught by Balcony Arts and just do short plays? And literally that's how it started. We're like, oh yeah, we should do it. And then we called creatives from, East Africa, so Uganda, Tanzania, and Kenya, and we were like, okay, we have this story. We got them together in one weekend, and we produced short plays. And I think what that online community did for us, and again, actors just wanted to create at that time. They didn't want money. They didn't want, it was just, we're a group of creatives who want to create. Going back to the first point I was talking about, you're selling an emotion. I'm telling this actor that I just want to put you in a room with other creatives and I want you to play. And so that's how our community grew. We were just like, we're just going to do online shows. And ironically, that broke geographical boundaries more than anything that I had ever done as Nyokabi. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Haneefah, how about you? What inspired you to start your community of community managers, and how did you initially engage them?
Yeah, I think if you would listen to almost everyone that have started like similar communities like this, it would all, you know, start with a kind of a major inspiration, life-changing activity and things like that, which is inspirational to say the least, because at the end of the day, we are all humans and there's just one thing that has to, you know, be the start or beginning of something, right? So I think very similar to Nyokabi as well. But this was in, I think, 2021. I've been a community manager for about, I think 3 years at the time. And even when I started as a community manager, I didn't know it was community. I didn't know I was managing a community. It was just a role. I was an intern, right? I was just like a final year in school, you know, bringing together tech talents in my school at the time, just getting people together. But what I did notice was I didn't necessarily I was not able to find a set of people that I could go to ask questions about how to do things in my role. I didn't have a pool of resources where I could go to read about my role. Like there was no way for me to grow. There was no way for me to know or benchmark how best I was doing my things, except, you know, reporting to my manager, just literally say, this is what we did. And so I had to like go the extra mile to like research. And that was when I understood, oh, I'm doing the role of a community manager. And then I understood that role. And then I had to like read, you know, again, you're reading from Europe, you're reading from America, you're reading from all these people that have those resources in their own field and their own, you know, part of the world. But here in Africa, the way you manage Lagosians is different from the way you manage those from Kenya, the way you manage Ghanaians, they're different, right? The cultural, not I won't say barrier, but the cultural differences, the language differences is beautiful, but at the same time, it's something that you also have to really understand, just so you are matching everybody's needs and meeting everybody's needs as well. And so I also saw other communities, but not necessarily ones for Africans, not necessarily ones from our own part of the world. So I decided to start one back in 2021. And it was just, oh my God, like there's a community for community managers in Africa. I mean, I would love to join. I just started, right? It was just a conversation. It was just let's talk about this. What's going on with you? Let's learn together. And that was how the group started. It wasn't even supposed to be a group or a community. It was just a conversation. It was hear me out. I'm suffering. I don't know what's going on. And then now we've grown to over 600 community members. We're growing, you know, across different countries. We every year together with Community Leads Africa, we do CM Fest, which is a community managers festival, which has never been heard of in this part of the world as well. And we've been doing it in Lagos, and this year we'll be doing one in beginning of November as well. So yes, that was how the engagement started. It was from conversation. It was from, this has never been seen of, heard of. We needed this. And yeah, happy to see its growth.
Fantastic. So the next question is more about some of the strategies that you used to, you know, engage your community. So which one did you find most effective for fostering a sense of belonging within your community? I'm more interested in the strategies that you used in growing, because I do believe that a lot of times when it comes to building a loyal fan base around your brand or around your business, it's difficult to grow. So can you share with us some of the strategies that you use in growing your audience? So in this insight, you can share conversations about the partnerships that, you know, you built, the tools you use, the types of events actually, and just tips on how to, you know, build and engage your community. Yeah, over to you.
Thank you for that question. I think thinking about it, right, I would still go back to like the core, because communities are different. And what might work for me might not work for you. What might work for my own type of community might not work for the type of community that you're building. But the key, should I say, source or ingredients is that you have to listen to your community members. So that I also say this thing that you can't create a community. So when I say that, I don't say, oh, as a community manager, you can't decide to start one. I mean, that's, everybody can do that. But you can't, it's not something creatable. It's been, you get to build it with people. I'm still trying to figure out the word to use for it, to be honest, but I just know, like, I know that you can't just create something. You can't create the community. You have to build it. It's intrinsic, right? So, and to be able to do that, you have to listen to your members. You have to listen to the people that you're building this community with. And because you're listening to them, you are able to know exactly what they need, right? So for instance, when Community for Africa started, it was more about conversations. So it didn't even matter where the conversations were happening.
I think her power is
Haneefah,
gone.
yes, I do believe Haneefah's power has gone out. But Haneefah, can you hear me?
Hi guys, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so I'm going to keep my video off. I mean, you know, the Nigerian thing happened and they took the lights. So
Africa.
yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. So again, you just really have to listen to your community. From listening to them, you're able to figure out exactly what you need at every single point in time. So when Community for Africa started, it was more about conversations. So we started with Twitter, where a lot of people were ranting. So we took the conversation to them. We were having Twitter spaces, we were having, you know, Instagram lives, then we started having some in-house conversations where I was having like some one-on-ones. So from there, people were bringing in ideas. Oh, can we have this X person that has X amount of years in the industry, or this person has done something amazing. We would like to learn from her. We would like to learn, or, you know, have this person mentor us in the community. So people were the ones giving us the ideas, giving me the ideas, right? And from there, I was able to solve those needs, meet them where the needs are. And I think it's the same. Once you're able to do this, you're able to do partnerships with whoever you need to do partnership with, because the community is speaking to you, you're listening to them, and you're able to, again, meet them where they are. So you're having partnerships. This is also one of the reasons why we partnered with CLA to do the CM Fest every year, which is an annual event. It's a need that the community, first time ever that community managers get to meet themselves, you know, physically, talk to themselves. You know, initially you see tech bros, tech sis meeting themselves and doing tech events. Yo, we are the ones planning those tech events. Let us have one for ourselves, you know. So partnerships, types of events, all those things, they would come to you when you actually listen to your community, really. So yeah.
Wow, that was very insightful. Thank you so much, Haneefah. Yeah, Kofi, what do you think about strategies that helped your brand, you as a brand, you know, can you share with us some of the things that you did that you realized were very effective in engaging your community, and the kind of partnerships, the tools that you used?
First, I think there's something really nice that Haneefah mentioned, which was experimenting. I don't think there's any blanket formula to reach to your community or to like find them. I think the best thing one can do is experiment, because as she said, whatever works for me might not be able to work for you. And it's very important for you to realize that even as you're taking on advice from different people who have done this, just experimenting is the best way for you to be able to find out. And I'll give you an example where as Shots from Africa, last year we did a show called Graveyard Queens. And we were so busy marketing online. We were like, and the marketing material was on fire. We did such a fire photo shoot, and we did like a preview show 2 weeks before the show, and we called specific people from the industry to just come and watch our show. And we were like, okay, so what do you guys think about our show? What's the feedback that you guys have? And one of the things that came out was that the target audience for our material, at least that particular material, was not online. Because this was a story about 3 widows, and at least all of them were above 50 years old, and they are trying to just navigate grief after they've lost their husbands and their friends, and they're trying to live life after the death of their husbands. And what we quickly realized is that we've been talking to the wrong audience. Our audiences were in what are they called? Golf clubs. They were in churches. They were probably in what I was going to say schools, but not really. Maybe teachers and stuff like that. Also parents as well, actually. And so that's why I'm saying it's also very important for you to know where are my audiences? Where do I reach them? And then the second thing I wanted to say about that is relatability. Like, you have to trust that your truth is someone else's truth. If you and one of the things that artists, I think one of the biggest powers we have, or we can be able to discover within ourselves, is tapping into our instincts. And that is when you truly attract people that are like you. Because I think a lot of the time we go reverse, where it's like, oh, what do people like? Okay, I'm going to do this. But then you realize if you start with what you love, what you're passionate about, you're going to attract those people to you. And your work is just going to be, how do I maintain them? How do I, now build a community out of that? But basically, speak your truth. You'll be very, very surprised what that does for your brand. Yeah.
Fantastic. I actually have a question. Have you ever, so you just mentioned that you just being you is authentic in it's important in building your brand. Have you ever had a situation where you share, when you are building your brand, you share things that you like, things that you like to do with your community, and you just see that they're not interested in it? Has that ever happened?
Oh, what, that I'm not interested in it, or the people who have approached me?
Yes, maybe the dramas, or maybe something new that you wanted to try out, and the people didn't really, like it as much as you wanted them to like it. Has that happened to you?
I've had an experience where it's actually the other way around, where a brand approached me, a clothing brand approached me, and they're like, we love your vibe, we love what you're doing, and we'd love for you to influence for our clothes. And I said, okay, send me your page. I'd love to have a look at it. And literally, as I was going through the page, I'm like, nothing excites me. Nothing here. Like, I cannot do anything with anything that you have here. And not to say that their brand was bad. In fact, it was a really nice brand, but I was like, I don't know what to do with these clothes. I literally would not know. So I said, okay, you know what? Let me just go to their shop and see if we can be able to style and, just come up with something. And I went to their shop, and again, I was like, there's nothing that gives me goosebumps. And I was just trying to find, maybe it's the values that we have and what. And I said, honestly, I am not the best pick for this, because it does not genuinely excite me. And I don't want to influence for a brand that I know I would not wear that cloth to go anywhere. I want to be able to say, guys, I think this is amazing. You should jump onto this, because I actually genuinely love it. So I think there comes that time. And obviously sometimes you're given a check that you're like, okay, you know what? This check is too big for me to be able to say no, or something like that. I don't know. I haven't faced that situation yet, but I think there will be a time where I'm like, that money is looking nice, but also, what is this? What are you guys even doing? So I guess it's also a game of principles. Yeah.
Yes, thank you so much for that. So I would move on to the next question, still on you, yeah, Kathy. What would you say, how do you attract the right audience? I think that this is a major question that people, or problem that people have or encounter when they want to build their communities. They usually like So how do I attract the right set of people who would actually buy into my brand, buy into my products? What do you think about that?
One thing I think when we started Shots from Africa is we were very afraid to quote a higher price. And we were like, no, people are not going to come, oh my God, da 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 da. And then we got to a point where we're like, especially when we're doing, because so my company is a film and theater company, and when we were setting the ticket price for our show, I told my partner, I was like, you know what, this time we're going to work backwards. We're going to evaluate, we're going to find out how much it costs us to put up this production. And then we're going to divide it by the number of people that we are expecting during this production. And that is going to be our ticket price. No matter what, we're going to die with that price with ourselves and be like, nah, this is what we're going to quote. And we realized that people who know what is going, they can see the value of what you're producing, they are actually never going to complain. And going back to, it's the same show where I'm saying we found out that our audience was in golf clubs. We realized these people have no business with what price it is. In fact, there's a lady who was like, I want to buy 20 tickets. And that's when we realized we have been so busy marketing to people who they don't see any value in what we are doing because they're not in our, what is it called? Our rhythm, or they're not our people, they're not our audience. And we realized actually our audience is willing to pay way more than what we were even quoting. And so I think having trust in your brand, believing in the work that you've been putting in. And someone said, you always think that when you, as a person, when you go to the shop, when you see something cheaper, what do you associate it with? A lower quality or something that is not as high quality. Because why are we always going for Adidas and all these things? Because there's a value in that. And every time you go to the shop, you assume that something that has a higher price is of a higher quality or a higher brand or that type of thing. And so I think that's a lesson that me and my business partner have had to learn and accept, that you need to trust in the work that you're putting in and believe that the right people will come along. Of course, if you're also telling your truth, going back to what I had said earlier. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Nyokabi. Thank you for that. Haneefah, are you still on the call?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, so I think you can turn on your camera. Let me see. I do believe it's not that bad. The background is not that bad. Because I want to see your face. Oh yeah, fantastic, Haneefah. So tell me, I had asked Nyokabi, I said one of the problems that people face is, knowing the right audience, so when you started, I know you knew the audience that you were looking to attract were community managers, but I do believe there are segments of community managers that you were looking to, to be attract into your community. So how did you do it? What did you do?
Yeah. So
to build your community of 600 and counting. Yes.
Right. Yeah. So I like to tackle the part of audience a little bit more should I say mathematical in a way. So this is to say that, again, coming from managing a large community like that of Ingressive for Good of like over 300,000 people at a time, it's very important that you have to know exactly who you want in your audience, right? You have to know who you want as your members. You have to know, you want to be able to tell who you don't want, who you want to be able to say no to, that my community doesn't necessarily fit, your needs, and what we're doing doesn't necessarily fit what we're offering for you. So be able to create a detailed profile. So I like to do kind of like who an ideal member would be. Of course, that ideal member, you might not necessarily see one person fit in the entire thing. So kind of like a profile, an ideal member, you're able to give that person a name, what's that person's doing, a bio, what are their needs, what are their pain points, what would your community offer to them? Are they a part of other communities? You also want to look at your competitors. So once you're able to have that ideal profile or ideal member profile, then you do maybe 1, 2, 3 other types of profiles that are also similar. This is also because, again, as a community, sometimes you are also, being able to have different types of people within your community as well. So yes, you know that, okay, you have some set of people that are, say, community managers, but are like maybe as a hobby, not necessarily as a career. Then you have community managers that this is like their whole bread and butter. So they're like serious, they want proper, drilling. They're always asking questions on the group. Then you have maybe community managers that also have it on the sideline as probably maybe data analyst, but then community manager on the side. So being able to have those type of profiles, how engaged each different type of members would be. You know how to engage with those different types of members. You know what type of activity would resonate with those type of members as well. So if you're able to do that, if you're able to define those, if you're able to know where they are, how to find them, how to get them, how to retain them, then you're able to grow, right? You're able to continue to attract them, continue to have even referrals from your community, even have your community members be the one to run your community, right? Which is like the go-to dream for every community managers out there. Just have your members be the one engaging, and you're just entering and like, whoa, okay, my people are speaking. I mean, I'm here. You guys continue to do your thing. I'm just here, right? So it's kind of a place where the community is right now, and I'm like super happy about it. But it's kind of just, if you're able to get your right audience, you're able to say, no, I don't want community managers that are from outside of Africa. Sometimes it can be sad. Sometimes you want to be like, oh, you want large numbers. You want to be able to speak to everybody, but it's just not possible, right? So being able to be very strict and again, do your profiles, answer those questions. This type of members, how would you feed them? How would you feed their soul? How would you answer their questions? These other type of members, okay, they are silent, but they are there. And you still want to be able to get to them, right? Another type of members that they're always, they are super engaged. They're like your top guys. They're always speaking. You want to also know how to spotlight them and know that they're not just speaking without, you acknowledging their efforts and, being appreciative of them being a part of your community as well. So yeah, just being able to have those different sections of your members and audience, it's super mathematical and very, very important.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Haneefah. So the next question is on tools and platforms. So what role do offline events play in your community building strategy, and how do they complement your online efforts?
So offline communities are, I mean, ever since COVID happened, offline reduced, and we also saw kind of like the importance of having online communities and taking them seriously, and then just been learning how to engage with people online. But offline also has its own, real life different level of connection that comes with meeting people offline. Recently I'm currently still in Abuja. I came to Abuja, the capital, to visit a friend, and then I decided to kind of do a small hangout for CMs that are within Abuja. Of course, there's very few of them compared to Lagos, but it was a different feeling, right? They felt seen because everybody is always like this. Every event is always happening in Lagos. But now you're in Abuja, you're able to bring them together. I met another senior colleague within the community management industry that she's also a part of the community as well. But we've not seen each other, right? In 2-3 years, we've not seen each other, but we're always engaging, we're always talking. It's like we've seen each other, like we know each other. But then we hugged for the first time. I met that kid, and it was really nice. So offline events will always be like the goats, right? And it's, if as much as you're able to do it, try to do it, even if it's once a quarter. It just brings that different level of connection within your members.
Fantastic. So how do you complement it with the online? So what's the effect and the bonding that you gain in your offline events? How do you complement that to the online events and the online audience?
Well, so again, with COVID happening, Zoom coming into life and every other different platforms like that, you start to see how we learned how to engage online the way we would have engaged offline, right? We started to do happy hours online. We started to do more engaging stuff online, games and all those stuff, right? So complementing it, again, doing it offline is already like a should I say is a norm, right? We're used to doing offline events. We're used to meeting ourselves offline again prior to COVID, right? But being able to now do the same online, sometimes it might be a little bit, I don't want to use the word tiring, to bring everybody out every single time as compared to before. So being able to now like kind of manage that, again, listen to your members, ask them, oh guys, would you like to, have us have a hangout this quarter, or however, it is for your community. So just try to gauge it, try to see what works for you, how often you want to do this, what type of activities do you want to do offline that would make people want to come and look forward to it and register for it and attend to it. So yeah, I mean, it's just kind of conversations that you want to have with your members, have your super community members, just get them on a call and, bounce ideas off of them to, get their feedback on what they think.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Haneefah, for your insights. Nyokabi, tell us how you've been able to complement your offline events. I know that they're mostly shows and stage plays and all of that, but you do have an active audience of people who don't live in Kenya. So how do you complement these two activities?
For starters, I think personally, after I posted something online, I find it so tedious to like respond to comments. I'm like, oh gosh, like I want to say thank you, but I just want to say thank you, everyone. But obviously, someone has a personal, you always want to give them a personal response. But when you meet me in person, I have all the time in the world to give you a story about what happened and what didn't and whatever. And if you are looking for advice, I'm like, yeah, and then you can do this and that and that and that. And I think sometimes you remind people that you're a real human being. Online it's a persona that you have online that it's like, yay. And obviously I'm never posting, oh my God, I'm sad in my house and I need whatever, even if I do, it's like I'll put it as a joke. I never go online to rant about the problems that I have. But if you meet me in person, I'll be like, listen, I'm struggling with this and I'm struggling with this, but I found a way this way and that way. And I find that when I go for events, I'm very much open to have that back and forth discussion and just give you enough time. And, when you make people feel like they're important, or when you listen to them, again, that's how you're building the community. It's not about how much you're, gassing them. If it's not about how your work is so good. Sometimes it's that time I met Nyokabi and I asked her about this and that, and she told me this, and I'm truly grateful for that. And again, there's trust that has been built there, and there's a certain emotion, and there's an exchange, and there's a level of affection that you've exchanged there. So you sort of continue growing that trust with your community. And then the other thing is, I really try to go for events as much as I can. A lot of the businesses that I have, I am literally in the middle of a party, in a concert, just being like, oh my God, let's do this, blah, 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 blah. Because remember, in that setting, everyone is letting loose, and we're just interacting as human beings. Whereas sometimes online, it's very hard. I mean, I don't know if you're screenshotting my messages and sending them. So I don't know what that's about, so when we're talking and there's that, I mean, even in acting, when you have that eye contact, you really feel like I get you and you get me. And so your network is your net worth. I mean, go for events. Do not stay in your house. Someone said a job will never find you in your house. You have to go outside there and look for that job. So yeah, I'd say that.
Fantastic. So we're moving to the money issue, questions on how to monetize. So Nyokabi, I know you do majority of your monetization, majority of the profits that you make comes from, stage plays, tickets to stage plays, but are there other streams of income that you've gotten from your community?
So I built my name as an actor. I started out as a stage actor, and then I went into film and TV, etc. But then beginning of last year, I think the last film I shot was probably beginning of last year, which was like end Feb or beginning March, which we premiered this past weekend, by the way. And I just, jobs were just not coming. And I was just like, so now what else am I supposed to do with my life? I mean, my company takes money from me more than it makes me money. At the moment, my company I'm paying people. So really I need to work on this other side so that I can be able to afford, my staff and that kind of thing. And so I told myself, okay, what other thing do I have? What Nyokabi, how do people react when you talk? Oh, they like it when you talk. Okay, so does that mean I can MC? And then I used to MC in my university. So I said, you know what? I'm actually going to let me just try. Let me just see. And this is not something that I enjoy doing. It's just something that I happen to be good at because of my personality, and also because of acting, I'm good at improv. So it's something that naturally comes to me. And I said, okay, now I'm going to start putting myself out there as an MC. And it needs to start from you. Sometimes there's the fear. There's the fear of starting something new, especially if you've built your name and you've become sort of an authority in your field. There's the fear of people saying, that one is no longer good, and I had to get over that fear and actually name myself as a host for it to be able to get out there. And so I started hosting, and I said, okay, so what else can I do? I have my social media account. I hate editing. I hate all that, because as an actor, I get to have a crew, a director, a cinematographer, a lighting person. But then if I'm being a content creator, you're asking me to be the lighting person, you're asking me to be the editor, you're asking me to be the director, and I'm like, this thing is so exhausting. But I'm like, I need money. So what do? I start content creation, and I was like, okay, that's another thing I can be able to do. All right, animations. If you're an actor, surely you're a voice actor automatically. And again, it's you saying it out, and people are gonna, at first you're gonna be met with the now you're calling yourself a host, and we know you are just an actor, and you have to brave through that. And you have to take classes. Remember, just because you're an actor doesn't mean you're going to be a good host. So how do you become a better host? Start, benchmarking for other hosts and see, okay, how can I better my skills and that type of thing. And so basically, I've really, really had to push myself beyond my comfort zone of just acting. And surprisingly enough, now it's gotten to a point where I am known more. Some people know me as a host more than they know me as an actor, which is insane, because it also gives you the freedom of saying no to certain jobs. Now, there's so many jobs I've turned down the past year because I'm like, when I decided to do all these other things, it gave me the freedom to say no to acting jobs that pay me so poorly and that are not compensating me for my time. And therefore, I'm able to use that time to build my company and also do the projects that make me happy or make me good money. Yeah.
Well said. So, okay. So you mentioned something about, yeah. So you mentioned something about starting, you became a host and then you started voiceovers. I know that you voiced a certain character on Big Mouth on Netflix. So I'm curious to know how you started. Was last year the first time, or that role, was that the very first role?
No, it wasn't the first role. So I also
Okay.
did an animation called Super Sema. And at the time, when they called me, they were like, okay, do you do voice acting? And I was like, well, and I said, yeah, I do voice acting, because I had done a commercial for Safaricom, but I was singing on it. Again, confidence. You have to walk in every room with confidence. Like, so long as it's not a ridiculous thing as can you ride a bike? And then you go on set and they find out you can't ride a bike. You just have to have the confidence. If it's voice acting and you're an actor, surely All the rest, you'll learn it in studio. They'll direct you when you're in studio. You'll just find out. And I find that a lot of people who are successful in our industry are not the most talented. Sorry to say. I mean, we do have talented people, but they are the most confident in what they do, and they are the most daring. So you have to just, do you do voiceovers? Yes, I do. Send me a what is it called? A sample. Go online, sample or voiceovers. You go record that thing. If they say no, that's the worst that they can say. So yeah. But basically, Big Mouth it wasn't the first that I had done. Yeah.
Fantastic. I really like what you just said about confidence, because that's something that scares a lot of people, when they want to build a strong brand around themselves as professionals, especially professionals. Say you work as a marketer or, something in the creative industry, and then you want to position yourself as a brand. And, when it comes to pitching for roles, and someone would ask, okay, have you done voiceovers before? You're like, yeah, but it was just, for a friend, I like what you said, just record it, go take a look for a sample and push yourself, and be confident and say, yes, yes, I have, and the worst they can say is no. Fantastic. Thank you so much.
I'll give you an example, Toby. So one of the things my background is in musical theater, but I haven't been using my singing voice and stuff like that. And so I just did a play, and because I want to seriously get into singing and just exploring that side of my artistry, I looked for opportunities within the show where I could be able to sing and dance as well, because that's also something that I'm very interested in. And I think a lot of actors sometimes, when the director asks, okay, so who's gonna dance this? And we are all like trying to be humble and waiting for, I was like, me, to a point where I was like, I'll take it, but if I'm not hogging from other people, because I know that I want to get into that, and I need to position myself within the projects that I'm doing. I need to create those opportunities for myself. I can't wait for someone or a director to tell me, Nyokabi, you can sing, right? I'm like, no, I want to do it. I know my voice is not in the best shape, but I promise you, by the time we're doing the show, I'm going to get this voice into shape. So again, you as a business owner, as an actor, as a performer, whatever, position yourself in the spaces that you're in as well. Yeah.
Another question for you. So in that situation, the scenario that you just mentioned, did you just get paid for just doing the voiceover? Did you get paid for dancing and singing? Did you get a separate check for that?
No. So you were paid as a performer, right? They paid me as an actor in that play. But I know that I'm not just an actor, and I need my audiences to see that I'm just not an actor. So actually, this is adding more value to me, because next year I'm going to do something called Nyokabi at 10. And I want to have dancing and music and acting and everything. And I want to plant those ideas. So it was very interesting after the show. Guys are like, Nyokabi, you can dance, you can act. I'm like, yeah, I know. I was telling you, I was trying to send a message. And immediately after that, I released my teaser for Nyokabi at 10. And so I knew what I wanted. And at that time, it was more important for me to take those singing bits or dancing bits that would require more effort. And I knew the money that they would give me wouldn't even be, it would be a bonus. But I knew I had a bigger goal in mind, to plant that idea in my audience. Yeah. So introduce them slowly so that they're not like, oh, wait. I'm like, yeah, now I can sing and act. Now let me take it a step further. Yeah.
Okay, one more question. So still on monetizing. So how do you pitch? So in this conversation, how do you pitch to brands who would be interested, they'll be interested in supporting you? How do you do that? Because a lot of people are very scared to do that.
Let me tell you, again, the people that I've been speaking about to give me, to support me in Nyokabi at 10, at least 5 of them, I've met them at a party. There's something called Blankets and Wines in Kenya. It's a huge concert. Think Afro Nation, or I don't know, one of those. And I just meet this guy and I'm like, oh my God, hi, how are you? So there's this thing I'm doing called Nyokabi at 10, and I think you should be on board. And there's this singer, he's like literally one of the best songwriters in the country. And at the time, we hadn't done this show, so he hadn't seen me singing. And I kept telling him, I need you to write me a song. I need you to write me a song. So when I met him at Blankets, I told him, this is the last time I'm asking you to write me a song. I'm going to give you a ticket to come for this show, and I want you to see me perform. And if after that you don't think I'm worth your time, I will accept. But I'm letting you know, this is the last time I am asking you to write me a song. And because I knew, so again in that show, I was trying to position myself because I knew I was inviting people who I need to support me for Nyokabi at 10. And I kid you not, after he watched the show, he was like, I get it. When do you want us to meet? And so again, pitching is not people sitting in a boardroom and you doing a presentation. Pitching is connecting as human beings. Meet them at their level. What is it that they are interested in? Because I feel like a lot of the time we're like, I want to do this and I want to do this and I da. But the thing is, especially I'm learning with corporates, what is that going to do for them? You know, have a conversation as human beings, not as I'm trying to get money out of these people. How do you connect as human beings? What is it? Okay, let's go for a drink. Let's just talk, you know. Let's go for go-karting, you know. Yeah.
Wow, that's a good one. Thank you so much. You guys, I hope you're getting tips on how to be really bold, and just say your mind and share your thoughts with people and also go out, That's one thing that Nyokabi has mentioned several times. Okay, so Haneefah, what do you think? How do you monetize? I do believe the question, yes, that's the question, monetizing your community without compromising its authenticity and the trust of its members. Tell us, please.
Yeah, I think I'm also taking notes from what Nyokabi has also shared. Community for Africa has not gotten to the monetization part yet, so it's all just kind of like a passion project. Although we're working on launching Community for Africa Academy, which would be like the first ever type of community managers learning resource, slash academy that would, fit into the type of resources that, I had trouble accessing at the beginning of my own career. So hopefully that would be our own first type of monetization, if that makes sense. But prior to this, at Ingressive for Good, where I also was the community manager there as well and head of programs. Considering it was a nonprofit, monetization came more from partnerships, sponsorships, and also this, of course, wouldn't have been possible without, the way our community was being engaged and the type of data that we were able to, give from our community. And so if there's anything that I would say for monetization would be that have your data ready. So when I say data, I mean, again, some brands, major brands, all brands, of course, are interested in how sponsoring you or partnering with you would be beneficial to them. So you want to be able to effectively say that and translate that to them in their own language. So be it increase in sales or increase in awareness, or it could just even be CSR, but you just need to be able to translate this into a language that they're able to understand. And you're also working towards achieving that for them. Sometimes for our type of community, I mean, we have over 300,000 African youths across the world. And these are people that are interested in tech, that are already in tech, that are learning, that are growing, that are building. And so for brands that are approaching us or we are approaching those brands, that means they want to be able to reach those audience. So you want to be able to help translate that for them. So that could mean being able to translate their services, their resources into a language that your own community members would be able to appreciate. And because you're able to do this, it's also already a value for that brand. Sometimes we could even go as far as hosting hackathons. We did one for a local brand in Nigeria where we did like about, I think, a 1 month hackathon long thing. And it was really beneficial because They got to have access to like ideas. They got access to members being able to build around their product, around their API. They were able to have like a massive event that got them, followings on socials. So all these things are just, being able to have those type of brands come back to us and keep supporting us with money, keep supporting us with, whatever it is that we need to continue to survive and be sustainable. So that would be like my own 2 cents on monetization.
Yeah, I like what you just said about so Nyokabi actually said something, it's not all about you. I want this. It's all about the person or the brand that you're looking to partner with and what their needs are. And which is what you just said about the brand that you partnered with. It was the hackathon and they came back because the first hackathon they used their API. I have followed Ingressive for good, and I know you are now at Andela, but I want to ask you because the way you guys were churning out partnerships, please let me ask all these questions now because that's one thing, apart from and I know you said that Community for Africa is not monetizing, but you guys held events last year and it was ticketed, right? That's a form of monetization. A lot of people just do free events and they can charge, but they're scared. So I have plenty of questions and I know it's 5 already. We should end at 5:30, but let me just take like 6 minutes and ask this question. How do you, because you did something with MasterCard, you gave out free MasterCard classes to your audience. You did Coursera. It was Coursera and Google, Google career certificates. I know you did something with DataCamp. It was just back-to-back partnerships.
Okay.
So how did you sit down and just think, okay, for my community now, let's do MasterCard, like Ramsey, Gordon Ramsey, like all these people. So how did you start that? How did you conceive the idea of the kind of the brands to work with? And how did you approach these brands? Because they're not Nigerian brands, they're Western brands.
Yeah. I mean, coming from the Ingressive for Good story, right? It's pretty unique because Ingressive for Good itself started as a non-profit of a for-profit brand, Ingressive LLC, which started back like in way back, right? And then because of the type of solutions, type of problems that we were seeing and the lack of technical talents within the African industry or the African continent, we decided to start as a non-profit, like right in COVID. We started in, I think, June, July in 2020. And so that was how, the nonprofit itself started. So yes, there has been a little bit of, should I say, continuous conversations that have been happening from the LLC part of the brand. But because of the type of solutions that we wanted to solve or problems that we wanted to solve as a nonprofit, it was very simple. We wanted to be able to train as much people as possible in tech. We wanted to be able to do this for free for them so that we're not going to charge anybody, right? Even as a nonprofit, you can maybe at a very low cost, but we wanted to be able to do this at no charge. We just want you come as you are, come with your internet, come with power, come with a laptop. Even if you don't have them, we'll try to find them for you. The barrier to entry into tech is very low. Like everybody knows that you can do University of Google and University of YouTube and start a career in tech from anywhere you are if you're very serious about it, right? So it's a very like simple statement, simple solutions, but we know that we needed very serious and should I say amazing partners in the industry. We want to be able to come strong, if that if that makes sense. So when we started, we Coursera at the time was doing this like government / non-profit thingy going on again for COVID, which was really good for us because then we were able to properly apply for it and we qualified. It gave us, I've forgotten how many licenses at the time, but we kind of like surpassed that license. So another thing that we do as a community and as a brand was the type of value that we give our community or we give our partners. You probably won't be able to see it anywhere else. Like I'm not like I will say this for free anywhere and I'll boast about it anywhere. And it's the one quality that I've been able to learn from myself and our co-founders at the time, is we go all out and beyond to give you what you will probably be not able to get anywhere else. So at Coursera, we were doing like almost 50% completion rates. The completion rate at the time in the industry was less than 5%. So we were doing 50%. That means we were pushing our students, we were encouraging them. Our community was super strong. We were on Telegram, we were on Slack, we were on WhatsApp, we were on anywhere, everywhere to just get our members to complete their courses, which was beneficial for them because they were able to get jobs afterwards, right? And so because of that, guess what? It was a community member that introduced DataCamp to us. Not me finding them. I didn't even know DataCamp because again, I'm a non-tech in tech, so I don't really do coding and all that. So I don't necessarily know all of all these partners, even though yes, part of my role was to research those partners and be reaching out to them and be sending proposals and all that. But guess what? Because of what we do and how we did what we're doing, it was a community member that reached out to us, told us about DataCamp, and then we applied and we got in. DataCamp started with 700 licenses at the time. We were like doing, I don't want to give numbers, but we were doing like almost 100% of that. Now DataCamp is confident, like we are their African partner. They want to do anything, they're coming to us. Every single time, they give us like more than access in terms of like the backend access to the platform. They give us more than they would give a normal partner because of the way we creatively use those platforms. So I'll tell my partner at DataCamp, and we tell them that, oh, we were able to do this because we had this access and we were able to do this. They'll have meetings with us that, oh, they're looking at launching a new feature. They want to engage with our members. What do you think? And we tell them, you know what, do it this way. And then we come back, we launch it together. So all these things are things that your community, you want to attract members, you want to attract partners rather, you want to be able to give them what they wouldn't be able to see anywhere else. It would take effort, but if you're able to achieve that, any partner that you apply to, when they hear your name, when they hear the type of data, because again, data is important. You want to be able to, go back to all these partners and tell them you're able to achieve this and give them actual, data, because it's data that would get them to see the value in what you're doing. So once you're able to do all this and document them, you should be able to at least have and attract partners that would benefit your members and benefit the type of, solutions that you want to provide for your members.
Wow. Thank you so much. That was good. Very insightful. Thank you so much, Haneefah. Actually, we're supposed to be in the question and answer segment. So I'm just going to go through the chat box to see if we have any questions, and then we quickly come back to our conversation. So ladies and gentlemen, this is the time for you to send your questions to the question and answer icon. I don't see any questions anywhere, so I'm just going to check the chat box. If you have any questions, I see people are asking questions about if there's going to be a recording. Yes, we're live streaming on YouTube, so you can go to YouTube to watch the replay, right? So yes, we are going to share. The recording is actually there. So we actually have a lot of engagement. Olu Sunday is giving thumbs up. Yes, a lot of Olu Day Sunday is really enjoying this. Balad Dele Yusuf is saying absolutely. Yes. So we have a lot of engagement, but no question. Reward is saying this has been very helpful. Simple steps, authenticity and intentionality actually works. Many thanks. Yeah. So someone has a question. Will the recording be available for rewatch? Yes, it will. We're recording here and the live stream exists on YouTube. So yes. The recording exists and it will be available for rewatch. If anybody has any question, please just send it to the chat box, to the question and answer icon, and then we will get back to you. Okay, so I have one more. I actually have a couple of questions about two, but we'll just keep on going till we find a question, and then would probably end around in 13 minutes. So we've talked about monetization. Nyokabi has shared, how she's gone about partnerships. Haneefah has shared really key points about partnerships, always understanding who you want to be your partner and what the value is for them, their why. Why are they going to invest in your community? So I want to ask just one, this is like a question, and then you just give one tip. What are the common mistakes? This is Haneefah to you. What mistake do you see people make, and what do you want them to avoid when scaling a community around a creative business, especially a business? So what's one common mistake that you've seen people make, and what you want them to avoid?
One mistake, or maybe two. One would probably be neglecting your community. Don't become too distant. So even I did mention that yes, Community for Africa has started to be, members led in a way, which is like the goal for every community managers out there. But don't be too distant. Always like go back and try to let them know that you're there, respond to personal, messages, try to just always, it's again, prioritize interaction amongst all. That's like the biggest role for every community manager out there. But the main one common mistake that I would actually like to really mention is over promoting your business, especially for those that have like what's the word, products or services and things like that. Yes, your community is there to, your community is one of the strategies that you're using to build your brand and build your business, but do not over promote your business. Try to balance between promotion and value. Avoid being overly salesy, because once you're starting to sound like that, having like your community becomes like a constant sales pitch platform, people will start to leave, right? So you want to be able to again ensure that you're building a supportive space for belonging, a space where people get to access value for whatever reason that you're building your community. Again, of course, you're allowed to promote your business and try to get people to, because you want to make money, right? But the best way to make money, the best way to get people to invest in you is by providing them with value. Then you will just realize that the money is coming, right? People are just they're happy to buy and buy from you, and then what's the word, again, essentially, yeah, just continue to buy from you, no matter how much it is or whatnot. So yeah, just try to balance between promotion and community, or just don't sound too over salesy all the time. It can be a turn off for community members.
Fantastic. That's thank you so much, Haneefah. So Haneefah says, don't be too salesy, don't over promote your brand, And then the second point, which is very, very, very good, don't neglect your community. Actively engage. Strive to get to that point where your community members are driving conversations. Fantastic, Haneefah. Thank you so much for that. Nyokabi, what do you think? What mistake do you think brands make when it comes to scaling?
I want to say seek to understand, the why. Sometimes people are like, I don't like what you did with this and this. And we always think that people are hating, like haters are always just going to, haters gonna hate, blah, blah, blah. And sometimes it's just they had a bad experience. And seek to understand. We always say in acting, the most important question is why. And so anytime you get feedback, of course, you also need to gauge between, there's malicious people online, who are just honestly purely haters, but feedback forms and, that type of thing. Seek to understand, why is it that you felt like you had a different experience than what I thought I was providing? Because there's what you think you're providing as a service provider or as a salesperson or whatever, and then there's what they're getting. And so you need to understand that gap. Why is it that this person feels dissatisfied? And the face of your product, or the face of your whatever it is that you're selling, they need to be, for instance, I'll give you an example with my shows. I always have to train our ushers. because our ushers are the first point of contact with our customers, and they need to feel at home with our ushers. And the customer, unfortunately, is always right. Even when they're wrong, they're always right. And so I don't find one of my ushers arguing with my cousin. No, your ticket, no, it was invalidated. No, no, but I told you. No, it's okay. I totally understand. And I understand how you can be frustrated, even when they're just make sure you're being assertive, but at the same time, you can't, be on the offensive side. If they're being offensive, let's deal with a case where we're saying, okay, unfortunately, you have to leave the premise because you are, rude to one of our staff members, but it can never be the other way around. And so, yeah, those are the two things I would say.
Fantastic. I like that of feedback. You should always seek to understand why things are happening, because you can't just say, oh, you can't assume. It's real-time feedback and it helps grow your community. Thank you so much. So we have a question, Peter Kawa. So Peter Kawa is saying, I may have missed it, but how does any of the speakers ensure they appeal to a more global audience instead of curating content for a local audience? Nyokabi, please help. From your own perspective, please share how you do this.
I think for us, especially as Shots from Africa, because we started our company online, we realized that we have a lot of audience, like literally from the UK, from America, from where, blah, 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 blah. And so online business, online content rather, is the one thing that has been very helpful with that, and very mindful of the language that you're using. I mean, as a creator, I really encourage for people to use their local languages and, express themselves in the best way possible. But at the same time, even when you're writing your captions, we know that we're talking to a global audience. And so we want them to understand as well. We never want them to feel like they've been left out, even in expressing your authentic self and your, regional self or whatever. It's in the small things, it's in the captions, it's in your videos. Are you having, what are they called? Subtitles. And right now, especially, a lot of content creators are very aware of that, even making it accessible to other people. Captions have become, or subtitles rather. That's why you're seeing a lot of content creators using videos that have subtitles, because again, even making it accessible to people who necessarily cannot be able to understand your accent, because you think you don't have an accent. And this is something we say with Kenyans. We are always like, but we don't have an accent. What do you mean? There's no accent. And then you go to UK and you're like, yeah, that's quite a strong accent. But when we are here, you never know. And so you sometimes even think someone is being offensive and they're like, huh? Especially when I went there, I was like, why do you not hear me? Am I not saying I'm speaking, right? I remember talking to one of my friends and I said, oh, so I put it in the fridge. And she says, huh? I'm like, I put it in the fridge. She says, huh? I don't understand what you're saying. I'm like, the thing where you put food when you want it to get cold. Then she goes like, oh, fridge. I'm like, what did I literally just said that. And so just being aware that you are from different areas. And when I say I can't hear what you're saying, it's not offensive. It's just whatever I'm used to hearing just doesn't sound like you. And so providing ways in which everyone gets the message that you're trying to send. Yeah.
Fantastic. So I'm just going to look through the questions because we have like two more, but I would look for one and then I would say, okay, so success. How do you measure the success of your community building efforts? Nyokabi, what does success look like to you?
Yeah. Also, just before we go to that, I think we have another question in the chat. Do we want to look through that first, or?
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. So Olude Sunday is asking, how do you sync your content to your audience offline and online? Should they be the same package or different packages for both online and offline? And also, how do you monetize? Thank you so much, Nyokabi, for letting me know there's a question. This is actually very interesting. What do you think, Nyokabi?
Wow, that's an interesting question. I feel like even I am trying to figure out how you sync that online and offline community. But the one thing I'd say, again, going back to what I had mentioned earlier, with the offline community, I feel like you're able to sort of get a more personalized view or a more or something that is more you're able to understand more what it is that your audience needs just because you're literally talking to them face to face. Whereas with online, there's a lot of, sometimes there's misunderstanding, sometimes you think, these people are just giving me a headache. And really someone is trying to understand, how did you get this product and that type of thing. And so I'd say there's definitely more clarity when there's an offline conversation and, gadgets. And again, obviously with the online community, there is, what do we call it? Communal thoughts. I don't know what we call it. I don't know what's the right word, but you'll find that in this life that we live in, we always want to jump onto that comment that seems popular. You'll go online and you'll find a reply that has more likes, and you'll want to resonate more to that because you don't want to look like you're on this side, especially on Twitter. And there's a lack of individuality when it comes to thinking. There's that sort of I forget the word. There's a term for it, but basically I feel like offline gives you a bit more clarity, and there's time for you to be able to get an understanding of where your people are coming from as opposed to online. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Nyokabi. Haneefah, what do you think?
Yeah, I think very, very similar response actually. You, in a way, as a community, you kind of just want to be able to ensure that everybody, not necessarily everybody, but like the community is updated as to what's going on both online and offline, so people don't feel left out, which is kind of the thing that's going on, especially when there's an offline event that those online might not be able to attend. So sometimes if it's possible, you're able to maybe do streaming where those that are online are able to join offline. And if not, try to at least share pictures, share updates, and just try to carry them along just so they don't feel left out, because feeling left out can be a major thing. And again, that was also why I tried to do this, mini CM hangouts in Abuja, just to, hey, I'm here, who wants to hang out? And then everybody online is like, why? What's going on? Where am I? What can I join? Like, even those that are in Lagos are already feeling jealous. So those feelings can just be there. And in terms of package, I think, again, it's up to you to kind of decide how that would work for you. What are those things that you're offering differently for offline compared to online? How would you be able to ensure that you are not running into loss, from those kind of, just to look at it as a business at the end of the day. Spread your sheets and put your numbers in and calculate.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Haneefah. Before we go to the very last question, we have two more things. That's the survey, and we're going to take pictures before we totally call it a day. So please, we have a link for you to fill. So if you're on the call, please just click on the link in the chat box and fill the survey. Tell us if you enjoyed this, what you want to see. This is actually our community. You are part of our community. And yes, I've listened to what our speakers have shared today, and I want to actively grow this community. So please give us your feedback. Tell the team, what you enjoyed, what you want to see. Do you want offline events? Do you want online events? Just tell us, fill the form and let us know. Okay, so we have 4 minutes to go. So in 30 seconds, Nyokabi, what does success look like to you?
Yikes. That's an interesting one, because I feel like I'm in the middle of redefining what success means to me. And I want to say contentment, happiness and content, me being content with where I'm at in life. And that doesn't mean stopping to pursue what it is that I want. It means living with gratitude. Because I've found myself, I'm going to take more than 30 seconds, but I found myself, I just turned 30, and I found myself sort of grappling with that fact of, am I where I thought I was going to be at 30? And that has really been bugging me. And on the ground, I feel like I'm doing well with my career. I've made such great milestones, but I've been feeling like, but this is not where I wanted to be at 30. And so now I am practicing living with gratitude and acceptance. Someone says that the cause of all suffering is expectations. And the minute we learn how to let go of an expected outcome is the minute we're going to be happy. Again, not to say that you're going to settle and be lazy and that type of thing, but accepting that with everything I could have done today, this is where I'm at. And so what do I do with this? It's not that I'm not doing what I need to do. I'm doing what I need to do, but I'm here. I'm not there. So what do I do with here, where I am? Yeah.
Fantastic. Haneefah, what a success. So before you go, Haneefah, in 20 seconds, Nyokabi, what does success look like for your community in terms of your community? What do you think when you look at your community and you say, oh, this is successful? What does it look like?
I want to say them feeling like they get value for their money and they enjoy whatever it is that we're providing for them. So yeah, literally just that.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Nyokabi. Haneefah, over to you. What does success look like to you and your community?
Yeah, I mean, I would echo Nyokabi's first one. Absolutely satisfaction, growth. I want to ensure that I'm looking backwards in my life and I can see a level of growth at every point in time. I think I started this thing 2 years ago where I'm like, oh, my theme for the year, Happy New Year, is growth, but like it has been consistent where it is still growth every year. And I'm like, you know what, I'm just going to stick to that. So I think it's going to be growth. So success is growth, is seeing that I am happy. I am happy with where I'm at. I'm happy with what I want to do next. And I'm happy to also make decisions on the spot and say, you know what, this is not for me, and then be content with that as well. And then for my community, would be, should I say, the sentiments? Sentiments is big for me here because as community managers, this is also pretty new for them. So I want to be able to say that these people are giving me positive feedback, even the negative feedback, we're getting them and also changing or being able to like change based on those feedback. So just majorly sentiments, majorly members being able to see that where they are at, they're able to get value. They're there, they're contributing, they're also seeing their questions, answers is kind of major for me. I've seen members, applying for jobs, getting jobs, people that are just stuck at what to do and coming to the community to ask questions. And you see long ass paragraphs from members, sharing their own stories. So that is like huge for me, people taking out their time to listen to other members' problems and just respond to them without waiting for me. Come on, what else do I want?
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Haneefah. This has been so good, actually. Very, very, I think I should increase the time slot from, say, like 1 hour, 30 minutes to 2 hours so that we can have very, very long conversations, because this is really good. It's a very important conversation for brands because a lot of businesses are struggling, with competition, and, building a brand is very important. And all of the points that you've shared are very, very, very insightful and helpful. So with that note, I just really want to say thank you, Nyokabi. Thank you so much, Haneefah, for coming, for actually accepting to come here and share your insights. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you. Ladies and gentlemen in the chat box, in the audience, please, I want you to give a round of applause to Haneefah and Nyokabi. Please just share your emojis in the chat box. Give them a clap. Give them thumbs up, fantastic. Give them thumbs up, give them your brightest smiles, thank you so much. We have, actually, it's 7:31, we're literally out of time. So I would just say, everybody put on your cameras. I know everybody can't put on their cameras, but whoever can put on their camera, please just put on your camera. Let's take a picture. Thank you so much. Rachel is saying this was so informative. Olude is giving his biceps. Thank you. I forgot what that means, but yeah. So let's take a snapshot and and just like what we do every time, we're going to share recaps on social media, so if for people who are not here, thank you so much. Blessing is saying this was so good. I loved every part of it. Thank you so much. Okay, so we're going to take Pictures, are you ready? 3, 2, 1, cheers. Yes, thank you so much. Okay, so if you haven't filled the survey, please fill it. Just click the link. Even if you're not going to fill it right now, just click the link so that you can have it handy on your browser and then you can fill it anytime you want. Thank you so much, Haneefah. Thank you once again, Haneefah, for joining. Thank you, Nyokabi, for joining. Ladies and gentlemen, Haneefah, like I mentioned, she works at Andela and she used to be program and community coordinator for Ingressive for Good. So if you're a community manager, please follow her. And Nyokabi is an award-winning Kenyan actor. So if you really want to hear more from her, please just follow her at Nyokabi. Newton, can you quickly put their Instagram? Fantastic. Thank you so much. So from all of us at the Creative Economy Practice at CcHUB, we came well prepared here. There's Newton, Omolade is here, Zainab is here, and I am here. Please, we just want to say thank you for joining. Thank you for coming and joining into this conversation. We have more programs lined up for you, so don't forget to join our community. Newton is also going to share, if you don't follow us on Instagram, I'm wondering where you follow us, because you need to follow us on Instagram. We have so many events coming up for you, a lot of opportunities coming up, a lot of activities coming up and programs. So just join us and find where you fit. If you're not following our mailing lists, you're not part of our community, please join. Newton would put it in the chat box. So at this point, we've taken how many minutes? 4 minutes. Wow, we don't do this. We're always on time. I just want to say thank you. Thank you. The live stream is on YouTube, so you can rewatch it. Thank you so much for joining. Have a fantastic day, afternoon, evening. Bye-bye. It's bye-bye from us. Bye-bye, everyone. And thank you for joining. Bye-bye. See you.